why, when people talk about AI, they always the scenario, the press and other people think of the Terminator scenario. Why does that always come up? Stephen Hawking recently, Elon Musk is why.
Because fear sells.
But Stephen Hawking isn't selling anything. Elon Musk isn't selling anything. What are they selling?
No. When I say sells, it doesn't mean just selling products.
It sells their brand.
Exactly. It resonates.
Uh-huh.
This is the way you can catch people's attention. It's much because if you are positive, you have to convince people of something. It's so easy to tell them that the future is bleak because they can see these machines and many of them are just have real fear of losing their jobs to the machines. So you could be friendly to them, which is quite an irony. So you're predicting a very bleak and dark future, but you sound like their friend. And if you talk about something positive, they're looking at an enemy because they think that you disregard the real dangers that they're facing today from automation.
And I'll add that even though Elon Musk and Stephen Hawking and others don't necessarily have an agenda, the media that's reporting those comments certainly does. Mm-hmm. So there could be all sorts of luminaries out there saying, I think AI is probably a positive development that's going to turn out pretty nicely for everybody. Mm-hmm. That's not going to be the front page of anywhere. And in Gary's own talk, he was at TechCrunch on stage, the geekiest audience you could possibly find outside of the Bay Area. And all these people, and he spends half an hour on stage giving this interview about the promise of AI and human plus machine and the advantages of this new smart technology for education, maybe even for human rights and democracy, all these positive things. And the headline on TechCrunch's homepage for Gary Kasparov warns of the dangers of AI. It's kind of like, wait, I was there. What? You can play the video. It's right there. And there's nothing about that. And that's the thing. I mean, Steve, again, no, it's not about like we're having some sort of conflict but with Stephen Hawking and Elon Musk because there's nothing concrete there. It's just that the best line, and we quote it in the book, and it's Andrew Ng, who's another luminary in this, he says, worrying about killer robots, sentient killer robots, is like worrying about overcrowding on Mars. It's a legitimate concern in some distant hypothetical future where all of these other things have to happen in the technology. But imagine how wonderful the world will be in a world where we can get to Mars and have to worry about that. All the other things that have to happen, all the other things we'll have learned. And it's the same thing about creating killer autonomous robots. It's not like we go directly from Siri, where's a good restaurant, to autonomous killer robot. As if you just skip all this other wonderful stuff that's going to happen. You don't. All these other things are going to happen. It's going to change the world like electricity changed the world before you get to anything else. And yet we still have these headlines. I mean, this week, I think we retweeted it.
But also if we're talking about dangers that could be caused by AI, I mean, the real ones are now. And it's 10 days ago, Putin in his speech, talked about AI and about those who control AI being rulers of the world. That's not Stephen Hawking, not Elon Musk. We have Vladimir Putin, the brutal dictator of the nuclear nation, talking about being ruler of the world. And we know what it means in his vocabulary. So the danger is that if we do nothing, they'll find a way. Putins of this world, Putin, Kim Jong-un, Iranian mullahs, all the thugs and terrorists and dictators, find a way to buy it. They cannot create it, they cannot build it, but they can buy it. So
steal it.
So there's still an interest of pushing the scientific agenda. So unless we'll find a way to use it for positive purposes, it will be used by others for destruction. That's a real danger.